Hi everyone, today we are going to do Cambridge IELTS 8, Test 1 Reading Passage 1. The topic is about the Chronicle of Timekeeping. So we have got three types of questions here. The first one is about matching informations. The next one is about matching names, list of nationalities, right? And the last one is about labeling a diagram. And let's just begin with the 5 and 8 one, right? In order to begin the question, to do the task, we have to highlight the keywords which are given in the text. So Babylonians, let's try to just uh, figure out the keywords. Okay, Babylonians, we have Babylonians here. And Egyptians, do we have Egyptians? Yes, we have Egyptians here. So Greeks, yes, Greeks we have. And English, Germans, French, right? English, Germans, French. Germany we have. French we have. And England we have two. We have two. The word England refers to the word English, right? And let's try to highlight the keywords in the question. They devised a civil calendar in which the months were equal in length. So the months were equal in length. They divided the day into two equal halves. They developed a new cabinet shape for a type of timekeeper. Timekeeper could mean here some sort of clock, right? They created a calendar to organize public events and work schedules, right? So let's try to figure out, just read from the beginning here. Babylonians. Babylonians began to measure time, introducing calendars to coordinate communal activities, to plan the shipment of goods, and particularly to regulate planting and harvesting. You see, communal activities. So, the word Babylonians could be the answer to the word question 8, and let's try to write A here. So the keywords: created a calendar. Do we have a synonym to this word? Yes, of course. They began to measure a time. This is the introducing calendar. Introducing calendar and measure time could be a straight synonym to the word created a calendar. Introduce can be a synonym to invent, right? Okay. Organize public event. Yeah. Coordinate communal activity. Coordinate communal activity. And the next one is planting and harvesting, work schedule, right? So they are regulating, which means organizing, right? Work and schedule. So the next one is Egyptians. We have the word Egyptians here. So centuries before Roman Empire, the Egyptians had formulated a municipal calendar. Having 12 months of 30 days, with 5 days added to approximate the solar year. Alright, as you have already paid attention here, we have civil calendar, which could be a perfect synonym to the word municipal calendar, and months were equal in length could be a perfect synonym to the word 12 months of 30 days. 12 months equal in length, which means 30 days, right? And that's why this should be B, right? So let's figure out B1 here and just try to write it down. 6 here, And let's try to write it down 5 here. All right. So temporal hours, which were first adopted by the Greeks and the Romans, who disseminated through Europe, remained in use for more than 2,500 years. Right? So we have they divided day into two equal halves, and they developed a new cabinet shape for a type of timekeeper. However, if you just paid attention to the word Greeks, we don't have such information given here, which means just we should omit this word, right? And the next one is about Germany and French. Babylonian hours at sunrise, astronomical hours at midday, and the Greek clock hours used for some large public clock in Germany at midnight. Eventually, these were superseded by a small clock or French hours, which split the day into 12-hour period commencing at midnight. That's perfect. Split the day into 12 hour could be a perfect synonym to the word divide, right? Divide means split the day into two, and halves, which means 12-hour period. And just if you multiply 12 to 2, it would be 24-hour, right? 24-hour could be equal halves, and that's why it's about French. And let's just try to write it down here. 6, right? Should be 8, and this one should be 5. Should have been, right? Yeah. And that's why this one should be 6. They divided day into two halves. All right, let's write it down F here. All right, they developed a new cabinet shape for time of timekeeper. As long as we have read this sentence, we don't have such information regarding Germans. If you paid attention, Greeks and Germans, I think we don't have such informations, and just we have left English. However, we should be super careful in order to just read the text, because the earliest recorded weight-driven mechanical clock was built in uh, 1283 in Bedfordshire in England. The revolution aspect of this timekeeper was neither the descending weight that proved its motor force nor the gear wheels, which had been around for at least 1300 years, that transferred the power. All right. To address this variation on the original escapement was invented in 1670 in England. It was called the anchor escapement, which was a lever-based device shaped like ship's anchor. The motion of pendulum rocks this device so that the catch then release each tooth of escape wheel. All right. To address this, a variation on the original escapement was invented in 1670s. In England, it was called the anchor escapement, which was a lever-based device shaped like a ship's anchor. Right, ship's anchor, maybe a cabinet shape, right? It was called the anchor escape. The motion of pendulum rock this device so that it catches and then releases each tooth of the escape wheel in turn, allowing to turn a precise amount. Unlike the original form used in early pendulum clocks, the anchor escapement permitted the pendulum to travel in a very small arc. Moreover, this invention allowed the use of long pendulum, which could beat once a second, and thus led to the development of a new floor standing case design. Yeah, new floor standing case design, which became known as the grandfather clock. All right, the new cabinet, right, shape they developed. This led to the development of. Mhm. This one should be somehow a perfect synonym and the keyword, and that's why it's English D1, right? So as long as you have already paid attention here, we have a diagram. So how the 1670 lever based device worked, which means it's just total about this reading passage. So escapement resembling something, and the something, a something which beats each something, and it's called small arc, right? And the most important thing is that no more than two words or a number, right? As long as I know, we don't need a number here. That's why it's just about words. So escapement something resembling something, right? All right, it was called the anchor escapement, which was a lever based shape like ship's anchor, like. All right, like means here resemble, it means like, right? And a ship's anchor, and a ship's anchor could be a perfect answer. However, we have to skip the word a. Uh, the reason why, because no more than two words. That's why. So the answer should be ship's anchor, and let's just try to highlight this word. And this is and this one, right? So let's try to pay attention close here. The motion of pendulum rocked this device so that it catches and then releases each tooth of the escape wheel, in turn allowing it to turn a precise amount, right? To turn. So as long as you see here, we have a wheel, escape wheel here, right? This one should be called escape wheel because it's circular. And this shapes, which could resemble, look like a teeth, a tooth, right? The tooth, and in turn allowing it to turn a precise amount. So it turns like this, round and round, round and round, right? And that's why. So the 10 one should be about escape wheel, and this one is toe, right? Tooth. All right, let's highlight the word here, escape wheel. 10 and 11. So a something which beats each something, right? Moreover, this invention allowed the use of long pendulum which could beat, okay, once a second, a pendulum, long pendulum. As you see, this one is long, and that's why it's long, right? 12 should be a long pendulum. We have already an indefinite article a here, which beats each, which means once a second. Once as synonym to the word each, and we only need each second. Just we cannot write A, B, because each means A, right? And that's why we should only write second. All right, this one 12, and the last one 13. Okay. Overall, we have done the last one and the middle one, and simultaneously, we have somehow acknowledged the topic, the reading passage, and this time, this matching information in in some ways could be maybe rather straightforward, right? So the description of early timekeeping invention affected by the cold temperature. So it's about colding, right? Cold temperature. Okay. And invention affected by, okay. The explanation of importance of geography, development of calendar farming community, and description of origins of pendulum clock, and details of simultaneous efforts in different societies to calculate time using uh, uniform hours, right? To calculate time using and uniform hours. So let's just highlight these words. All right, this one, I think it shouldn't be so difficult, right? So let's just begin with the D one, because just if you pay attention here, we have some keywords. They couldn't always, they could not always be dependent on in the cloudy and often freezing weather, because it's about water clock, right? One of the first water clocks was a basin with a small hole near the bottom through the which water dipped out, right? And it's talking about water clocks and invention affected, right? Invention, it's about invention, and it's about early. That was also a keyword, right? Early means one of the first, and uh, cold temperature means often freezing or in the cloudy weather of northern Europe. And affected could not always be dependent. And as you see, it's about matching information, and matching information means we must find the exact sentence with the words like this. So, explanation of the importance of geography, development of the calendar in farming community. So, farming community, that's the keyword here. All right, let's pay attention to the B one. All right, before the invention of artificial light, moon had great social impact. All right, and for those living near equator geography, right, it was waxing and waning was more conspicuous than the passing of seasons. And in the northern climates, however, with seasonal agriculture was practiced, a solar year became more crucial, important, right? A calendar, farming community, agriculture, seasonal agriculture was practiced. As you have figured out, this should be B. Let's write it down 2 here. So, description of the origin of pendulum clock. I think just pendulum. I, I just see pendulum here, right? Pendulum here. We don't have pendulum here because it's talking about water clock and pendulum. This one is about pendulum. However, origin of the pendulum, right? Origin means the first invention of the pendulum. So the earliest record means the origin, right? Weight-driven mechanical clock was built in 1283 in Bedfordshire in England. The revolutionary aspect of this new timekeeper was neither the descending weight that proved its motive force nor the gear wheels. So it's talking about pendulum, right? But the pendulum swung in a large arc, thus wasn't very efficient, and it's talking about the earliest record. See? And that's why the answer should be F here. Mhm. Details of the simultaneous efforts. Different societies calculate time using uniform. As long as I remember, I have read different societies like Germany, French here, right? That's why we have just take a look at here. So details of simultaneous effort. Simultaneous effort, which means at the same time, right? A different society calculate time using uniform hours. So Babylonian hours at sunrise. So Babylonian hours could be somehow different society, right? Mm-hmm. Sunrise astronomical hours at midday and great hour. Clock hour, right? Is some large public clock in Germany at midnight. Eventually, this were superseded by small clock or French hours appear commencing at midnight. You see, it's talking about different societies and simultaneously. It means respectively at the same time periodically, right? So let's write it out here. E1. So the answer should be E, and we could write it down 4 here. All right, as you see, we have done all of the readings with the questions here, right? So this is all for today, and see you in the next videos.